Your Excellencies, members of the Michener Awards Foundations, fellow journalists and guests, who David was is not who David is. Those words hung in the air and soon became stuck in my mind after I met David Gibson. He walked away without a scratch from the 2013 crash between an OC Transpo bus and a Via passenger train that killed 6 others. But it was the unseen injuries, the trauma, that plagued him. The flashbacks, guilt, and shame David struggled with exemplified how difficult the lingering effects of trauma and PTSD can be. Talking to him helped me understand exactly how the unexpected nature of a traumatic event can have devastating consequences on people, including journalists. That was the seed for trauma-informed reporting. How can media outlets do a better job of understanding, recognizing, and responding to the effects of trauma on the person or group at the center of the story, as well as the person assigned to cover it? How can we build greater awareness of trauma and how it impacts the people we report on, and view trauma as an injury, not as an illness, shifting the conversation from what is wrong with you to what has happened to you? Building this kind of knowledge in newsrooms has never been more important. From the fentanyl crisis, to the plight of missing and murdered Indigenous women, to the multi-generational effects of residential schools, trauma is often an underlying reality of many of the stories journalists cover every day, including half of the projects nominated tonight. Yet many journalists and journalists in training don't realize they are susceptible to the effects of trauma and could themselves someday experience nightmares, insomnia, mood swings, and difficulty concentrating after covering a traumatic event. Shedding light on this difficult subject will create the kind of conversations we need in classrooms and newsrooms about trauma and mental health, subjects that have remained taboo for too long. To the newsroom leaders gathered here, many of you in the front row, I hope you'll take my call in a few months' time. I'd like to work with you, and particularly with some of your reporters. The same is true for journalism school directors. The potential for making this project matter rests with all of us, particularly because I hope it will live on long after my term at Carleton ends. None of us got here tonight without the love and support of our people, so I'd like to take a moment to thank mine. My partner Alain, our co-parents Karen and Jeanette, and our beautiful baby Zora, my parents, family, and friends, my Ottawa citizen colleagues who continue to do good journalism against great odds, especially my bureau mates at Ottawa City Hall, David Reevely and John Willing, and the folks at Carleton who gave me a rich education and are now willing to welcome me back. And finally, to David Gibson, the man who walked away from that bus crash without a scratch. He planted the seed for this worthy project, which tonight, with this award, you have so richly fertilized. Thank you all.